That's phonemic awareness. Being able to recognize different individual sounds. And when sounds blend together, recognizing what sounds make up that blend. So if we're talking about the at family, let's go back here. So I know these phonemes, I know these sounds, I know that the k is a C, I know that bat is the word bat. It's being able to process sounds in your head, knowing sounds. If we don't know the sounds that letters represent, we have difficulty with spelling. We have major difficulty when we get to the phonological part of trying to sound out the words. So let's look at how we can expand this family even more. We can do flat, because we know flat. Okay, I know that's FL. We could even go to a 3-letter blend. Full at. Are we still in the at family? And the word family is what? Is the what?
The rhyme.
The rhyme. Okay. The onset is the beginning sound. Spool. Sometimes the beginning sound is an initial sound. Sometimes it's a blend. But it's the part that comes before the word family or the rhyme. Okay? So how could we expand this even more? Can anybody tell me maybe a suffix that we could add to this?
ER.
Right. What do I need to do? Okay, well, I need to double it, so I need to know a rule, right? If you have a short vowel that ends in a single consonant, short vowel word that ends in a single consonant, you need to double it before you add the suffix. Don't write the rule down, because the rules change, okay? And the rules are inconsistent. When we talk about teaching rules, you also have to teach the exceptions. I've got 2 really good documents that I'm going to post for you that talk about the vowel generalizations. Okay, so talking about rules. Somebody share with me a rule that you learned when you were learning to read, or maybe one that you use now. How many rules do you actually remember and use?
I before E.
That's always the first one that everybody says, because we still use that, right?
Right.
Don't you still use that when you're writing the word believe or receive?
Yes.
Or anything with the IE or EI? So how does it go? I before E, except after C. You know the rest of that? That's only half of that rule. You don't know the rest of that rule? Oh my goodness, okay. I before E, except after C. So that would be like in receive, right? I'm going to be writing all over this wall, so. I before E, except after C. So it's, the rest of that rule is, or when sounding like A, as in neighbor and way. So when the EI sounds like an A, it's also E before I. You didn't know the rest of that? Learn something new. Okay. So it's I before E except after C, or when sounding like A, as in neighbor and way. Next time somebody asks you, you'll know the rest of that rule. What other rule do you remember?
I know there's a rule, just when writing, I guess, double the C's, double the S, and you always get success.
Oh, that's a good one. Nobody shared that before. Double the C, double the S, and you'll always get success. That's a very positive one. Okay. What about, did anybody learn when 2 vowels go walking, the first does the talking?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So give me an example of a word that follows that rule. We don't talk a lot about rules, and you won't be teaching the rules per se. You'll be teaching kids how to use those rules, students, excuse me, how to apply those rules, not just memorizing the rule. So if I said, when 2 vowels go walking, the first does the talking. So give me a word with 2 vowels. What do I mean when 2 vowels go walking? When they're what? Side by side in a word. So give me a word, 1 syllable word. So when we get into multiple syllables, we really get away from the rules. All right, sometimes.
Head. Head.
Okay, head. All right. 2 vowels go walking. That means side by side. The first does the talking. Now, usually when the first does the talking, it's a long sound. Not always. And see, we're already into the not always, which is why we don't always teach the rules, okay? So in this case, yes, the first letter does the talking, but does it say its name?
No.
No. It has the what sound? Okay, it has the what sound? Vowels have long sounds and short sounds.
Short.
They also have other sounds, but we're going to get into those.
Short.
It has a short sound. So we use the, you know what that's called? That's called the brev. B-R-E-V-E. Now you know. And don't think the kids don't. Because my one of my classes last semester had a field experience in 3rd grade, and they were learning, not sorry, it was 2nd grade. And they're learning that the short sound is called a brev, and the long sound, when you use it. So in the word boat, that's another when 2 vowels go walking, the first does the talking. But here it says its name. When we say that vowels say their name, it's the what sound. If a vowel says its name, it's the long sound, right? So the long sound is called the macron, or a macron. It can be pronounced either way. So short sound is breath. Now, I'll be calling them long and short, but I just wanted you to know, add to your vocabulary. Learn some new words today. We all need to learn new words every day. Okay, so when 2 vowels go walking, the first does the talking. Usually means in a 1-syllable word, it's the first vowel that you can hear. Usually it says its name, not always, sometimes it's the short sound. Can you think of an example of a word where you have 2 vowels together and it's the second vowel that you hear? I usually have so many examples of these in my head, and right now I'm trying to cover everything and that one just left. We'll come back to that.
So I have a question.
Uh-huh.
What about aardvark? What would that be?
Well, first of all, that's 2 syllables.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? Teach it one moment. Let's look at the word aardvark. Okay, we have, first of all, before I start erasing things, phonemic awareness is what? It focuses on what? The sounds. It's auditory. Can you hear the sounds? If I said the word bat, how many sounds can you hear in the word bat?
3.
Okay, what are they?
At.
Okay. When you're counting sounds in words, or when you have a question on your midterm, and you will, how many sounds do you hear in this word? Remember, don't tell me how many letters. Phonemic awareness focuses on sounds. How many sounds do you hear? Now, bat, and it happens to have 3 sounds and 3 letters. But what if I said the word chat? Ch, at.
2.
All right. Still has 3, doesn't it? Ch, at, t. That's phonemic awareness, counting sounds. All right. Rhyming sounds is part of phonemic awareness. Do these words rhyme? It's all auditory. Adding or deleting sounds. If you think about the word, if you take the word cat, take off the k, not the c, because we're talking auditory. Phonemic awareness is auditory, okay? If I said, read the word cat, all right, we have cat. And if I said, take off the k and replace it with v, what's your word?
That.
That. That's phonemic awareness. And look at how many pieces of information you've got to know. You've got to know what take away that sound is. So I've got the word cat in my mind. Focusing on the sound, not the letter. So if I take off k and now replace it with v, well, I've got to know that v represents v, right? So it's so important to focus on those sounds. Usually you focus on the sounds first, then the letters. I know in preschool we usually start with the letters and learn the alphabet, that's fine. But when you're talking about reading, you've got to know the sounds. You can say the letter names, but when you read, do you say the letter names or do you sound? We sound the words, right? So the phonological awareness is knowing the sounds that these letters represent and blending those sounds to make words, okay? Remember, letters don't make sounds, letters represent sounds. This letter represents the sound of C in the word cat. this T represents the last sound that you hear. We're talking about phonemic awareness. When we're assessing students' phonemic awareness, we ask them if words rhyme. We ask them what's the first sound you hear, what's the middle sound you hear, what's the last sound you hear. If I take away this sound and replace it with this sound, what word do you have? Or if I add, we were down here, weren't we? The ER to splat, and then I doubled the T, what word do I have? Splatter. We're still in that rhyme, aren't we? We're still in that word family. But we've built based on what we know. Analytic, analogy-based, rewards the same, okay? Okay, so we've got the difference between these two. This is visual, this is auditory. Phonological awareness is visual because we're looking at letters and making words based on the sounds, phonemic awareness, that we know that are linked to those letters. Okay? Any questions about that? I'm trying to give you examples as we go through because the vocabulary is important, but you've also got to see, okay, so I know this vocabulary, what does it look like when I'm actually teaching? So if you have questions, stop, because anybody who watches this is going to have the same questions, but you have the opportunity to ask them, okay? All right, so you've got the short sound is the breath, long sound is the make one. Let's just keep going. So let's take a minute. So, well, let me resing this. When you teach phonological awareness, do you think you will teach it analytically or synthetically?
Analytic.
And the advantage is
They learn it faster.
they learn it faster.
They're able to pronounce it better, like the word.
You're not just focusing on individual letter sounds. That's what this is.
And then is it also with remembering the sight words?
Yeah,
Right.
it can help you build your sight word base because I know that this says at. How many words can I think of that rhyme with at or in the word family? I know that, oh, and yes, the rhyme usually rhymes, so you can remember it that way. But when we're talking about onset, which is the sound that comes before the word family or rhyme, it's spelled this way. So on your midterm quiz, which you take at the end of next week, it's this, not this. Yes, these words do rhyme, but this is the rhyme. I don't know, somebody decided to just confuse you. All right, so teaching the skill analytically builds so much faster. And it's more realistic. We learn better in context, right? Again, I'm going to go back to the example. If I were teaching you to ride a bike, and we didn't have any bikes around, and I said, well, just read this and watch this video, then go get on a bike. We need to have a bike here because when we're teaching a new skill, when we're teaching new concepts, we need to show how we're going to apply it. Okay, that's what we're going to keep doing now.